This is probably the busiest day on the allotment year today. We're doing a huge amount of planting. We're planting all of the purple sprouting broccoli for winter and early spring. We've got another batch that we'll plant later for mid-spring. We're planting most of the winter cauliflowers, although we've got another batch for early winter. We're planting all of the beetroot for storage, so that's going to last us from October through to about late April, May time. We've already put in 500 carrots and I don't know, about 100 leeks, and yeah, and lots of cabbages. So all the Savoys and the January King cabbages, and we've already got all the red cabbages in. So yeah, a lot to do, and we're even going to harvest the shallots as well, although I didn't know that when I started the video, but yeah, lots of shallots to come out as well. So this is the bed that we're prepping. Broad beans, or what's left of them, and this was the garlic bed. So the first job is just to get these broad beans out, and I'm just going to cut them at the base. I'm leaving the roots in. There's no nitrogen left in the roots, that's all depleted because they've grown a crop of broad beans using that nitrogen, but the roots will still rot down, and because all that's going in here is brassicas, the roots won't really get in the way. So I'm halfway done. I would pick probably the hottest day of the year to do it, but I want to get it done because we're due some rain, and so I want to get it cleared and mulched before then. This was actually my favourite bed. I hate these beds in transition when they look so ugly, but it looked so gorgeous when the garlic and the beans were in their peak, and that was only, it's hard to believe really, only like probably 3 weeks ago. And yeah, I just really loved coming on this plot and admiring it, even though it's not my plot, it's my daughter's. So the next job is to put in the carrot strip down the edge, and so what I've done is I've just put about an inch of multi-purpose compost in, and I'm going to plant these Nandor, and these are a carrot fly resistant variety. I've not had much luck with previous versions of these, things like Fly Away and Resist a Fly, but I thought I would give this one a try because the nets that are going over here are only for birds and butterflies, not flies. So I put down seaweed meal, worked it into the soil, watered it well. I'm just tamping it down with a rubber rake now. I don't want it blowing away in the wind. I just make little furrows with my stick. So that's the furrows in, and they're nice and moist. So I'm not going to water them again. Just going to water them from the top when it's finished. And I've got 500 seeds, 10 metres, 25 seeds per metre, 4 centimetres between each seed, so that's about right. And why the compost layer? Well, I find the carrots germinate better in compost. It's a little bit more moisture retentive than this sandy soil, and of course it's a sterile seed bed for them, so hopefully there'll be very few weeds germinating and competing with them, which means less weeding for me, less work, less disruption of the seed bed, less likelihood of carrot fly. And then just a quick rake over and tamp down, and one final watering, and then it's done. And as I said, then this bed will be left for a few days, and then it will be prepared for the beetroot and the winter and spring flowering brassicas. The planting now, put down a mulch of about 1.5 inches, something like that, of spent mushroom compost on top of the fertiliser mix. I put a rich mix in the area where the brassicas are going, and that was 6x manure, poultry manure and seaweed meal, all mixed together, about a handful in total per square metre. And then where the beetroot are going, I put about half of that, so pretty pleased with that. It's rained on and off for the last 4 or 5 days, and so the ground is nicely hydrated underneath that mulch. The mulch is pretty wet itself. Due a bit more rain later on in the week, so I think that's about as good as we can get it in terms of the bed prep. And I am absolutely all about bed prep, you know, for me, especially on beds like this, which are not going to be touched for months. You know, they're not going to be weeded or anything like that because they're going to be under nets. So bed prep is what it's all about, and basically, you know, get it right at the start and then trust that you did a good job until we take the nets off, and that will be, I'm guessing, probably September time, I guess, something like that. And then we'll harvest the beetroot and the carrots in sort of September, October time, and then garlic will go down here. I'm also thinking about putting leeks interplanted basically into the gap between the carrots, because I've got 40 cells of leeks, and maybe not that, 24, probably maybe 24 cells of 3 leeks. So quite a few. I've punched all my holes, so I've already put carrots in down the edges here, so basically here and here. There's 500 carrots in there or thereabouts. I'm putting leeks down the middle, and these are the leeks, and we're putting 3 rows of beetroot in. You can see the holes here, they're just dibbed in, and I'm giving them quite a lot of space. I don't normally give beetroot this much space, but these are the storage beets and I want them big. So I've only got 2 beetroots to a module, and some of them have even only got 1 beetroot to a module, but that's not by design, that's because of poor germination. So I think I'm putting in about 200 modules of beets, so about 400 seeds, 400 plants, and I'm also putting them in, interplanting them in where the brassicas are going, so they're in big holes, and they're down there, and those are the winter cauliflowers, the winter and spring cabbages, the Savoys and January Kings and the like, and early purple sprouting broccoli, and I will have claret purple sprouting broccoli, but it's not ready yet, so I'll just leave some spaces for that. So yeah, it's going to be a long day. I'm pretty pleased. I need about 2/3 of what I've got here, so I've got some spares to share out with fellow allotmenteers, apart from the leeks, and I need all of those leeks. So this time I'm preparing my planting holes with water, as I always do, but I'm actually adding in a mix of fish emulsion and seaweed kind of extract, and that's why it's all nice and brown. And I've tried this on my plot, and I think the plants are twice the size after a month. No, after probably 3 weeks, when I put this mix in. So I've yet to sort of do a scientific experiment to see whether that's actually the case, but it looks quite promising. So anyway, I'm going to give it a go. I will do a proper experiment one day. So that's the brassicas in, basically all down the edge near the fence are the purple sprouting broccoli, and down the edge near the path are a mix of cabbages and cauliflowers. That's a claret, and that's a purple sprouting broccoli, and a batch of other cauliflowers to go in, but I'm going to put them in this bed. We always intended to take the strawberries out of here, and these are just shallots here, so these will all be harvested soon. The claret should be ready for planting in about 3 weeks time, 3 or 4 weeks time, so that will be just perfect timing to clear that bed. We don't need as many strawberries as we've got, and we're kind of concentrating them on mine and Debbie's plot. I'm going to leave these in this bed here for snacking. And there's a lot to do today, so fortunately I've got the kids, this is the kids' plot, coming to help me, and they do most of the planting on here, and obviously a lot of the eating, a tremendous amount actually of the eating off here, and all of the big jobs basically the kids do. So they do kind of all the mulching, all the bulk planting, all the big clearing jobs, most of the clearing jobs anyway. I cleared this bed for them, but yeah, and that's why this plot is designed for a small number of intense days' work, rather than, you know, lots and lots of little sort of daily jobs. There's hardly any weeding required here. There's hardly any watering required here. It's a lovely plot to manage, and it's a great template for anybody who really doesn't have very much time, but can occasionally get down here on a weekend, you know, for one Sunday or something like that every month, because that's the kind of time commitment that this plot needs, and it yields such a huge amount, but most of that yield is for winter, and so that's kind of the way it works. So we've got lots of fruit trees that get harvested and then eaten in autumn, and we've got lots of winter brassicas, you know, sprouts, colettes, cabbages, those sorts of things, purple sprouting broccoli, lots of beetroot that will get harvested in autumn and eaten over winter, lots of garlic, broad beans, winter squash, and then a few other things, bits and pieces just squeezed in, like sweet corn. Lots of sweet corn on this plot, strawberries, shallots, both overwintered shallots and February sown shallots. So it's yeah, it really is a lovely plot. And that's about as much as my knees can take in a sitting. So I'm going to take a rest now. So I'm just harvesting the shallots at the moment, and I'm doing that because some of them have got onion fly, and it's very wet, and it's going to continue to be wet, and they look a bit worse for wear, some of them. I don't want them rotting. I want to make sure that I've got enough at least for replanting next year. So I would ideally let them stay in here for another couple of weeks, but I've decided against it. I don't want to lose them all to onion fly, and I don't want to get any rot in them. So unfortunately, I've got to take them up. At first sight, I'm actually quite pleased with these. They're not too bad. They're only a small gazelle, I think. I'll get those. I'm not sure actually whether to clean them up or not, but I'll do something. So there we go. We're all in. We just had enough. We've got one tray to spare, which I left at home, because some of these will definitely not take, because some of them had a very poor root system on them. They were kind of 75% good. The ones that I did under the grow lights were vastly superior in terms of the root system on them, even though they were 2 weeks younger. So these are the shallots just in here to dry. It's not a bad crop, and I'm reasonably pleased with them. I mean, there's a lot of small ones. Debbie will probably end up pickling some of them, but yeah, I'm pretty pleased. And there's certainly plenty for next year as well. I think we lost about 10% to fly, assuming I spotted them all. So, hope you like this quick video. My name's Steve, this is the Seaside Allotment channel, and I'll see you soon.